students to geometry class today on Tuesday the 5th. Hope you guys had a good day yesterday and opening day of the week on Monday. Hope you had a good day and hope you're ready to work hard today. You should have already taken your quiz. I hope you did well. I did instruct the teacher to give you about 10 minutes to study before you took the fill in the blank, so I hope you were able to do that and I hope it helped. Let's quickly look at some announcements. If I can get my Mimeo pad to work here, hold on 1 second please. I guess it always helps when you turn it on. So there, I've turned it on. Alright. You will have a test tomorrow. I'm going to give you a review sheet in just a second. There it is. And that will help you study for the test tomorrow. Turn in homework from last night, please. So you did have homework last night. I don't have that in front of me, but I will in 1 second. I'm not going to write it, but I'll read it to you. It was page 276. I think it was 4, 11, 14, 15, 17, and 33. But I knocked 33 off to give you guys a little bit of a break on the proofs. And so the assignment was 4, 11, 14, 15, 17. Please turn that in now. Jason, I'm not sure if you're there today. Mr. Harmon emailed me and said you were absent yesterday, Monday. Please don't freak out on all the stuff that you owe me. First of all, let's take it one step at a time. The quiz you owe me from last week, you are more than welcome to just take the test and let the test count for a test grade and a quiz grade. So feel free to do that, okay? That will help you. Number two, I know that today, if you're there today, you probably did not take the fill in the blank part, which is fine. And if you want to take the math part tomorrow, if you work on this review sheet right here and you feel confident, then take the math test tomorrow. If you take it, it counts, okay? So, but you don't have to take it tomorrow. You have until Friday to take both parts of the test. That gives you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you don't feel like that's sufficient, Jasa and all of you students, sorry about that. I am a phone call away, guys, or an email away. And by the way, let me explain something really, really quick. I have an eBay store and I have a Yahoo email, and so I always have that email address open, okay? So I hardly ever check the school email address like I should. Would you please start, if you want to email me at this email from now on. This is the one I check all day long, okay? earhartmichael@juno.com. I have that open all day, and I check it all day long. So from now on, call me if you need to. You can call every night if you have to. Just leave a message. We never answer our phone. We screen our calls, and I pick up the phone when I hear who it is, or I call them back, or you can email me, okay? But anyways, so Jason, listen, you have until Friday. If you don't feel like that's fair, call me and talk to me or email. We can work something else out, okay? Just don't wait until Friday and then not take everything and then say, email me over the weekend and say, hey, I didn't do it. That's a little too late, okay? But I will work with you guys, all of you, if you'll communicate. I hope that studying before you did your fill in the blank test helped you, and I hope that breaking it down to 2 days helped you also, okay? All right. Now, you have a test tomorrow. Let's go ahead and start the review sheet. Here's your review sheet. You do not have to do it if you don't want to, but if you want the 5 bonus points, it is due tomorrow, and you will have to turn it in before you take your test tomorrow if you want the bonus points. You can work these out with me as I do the video, or you can stop the video now, work on these on your own, and then check them using the back of the book, or check your answers using the video, whatever you prefer, whatever's easiest for you, okay? So go ahead and get your books open at page 291, get your notebooks out, get your notes out, whatever you need to help you with this assignment. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water here. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, for numbers 6 through 11, the directions say, use the triangles shown to determine whether the given angles or sides are corresponding angles or sides or neither. So let's see. Here we go. Angle J and angle R, are they corresponding? Well, J has 3 marks, R has 2 marks. So no, they are not corresponding angles. Number 7, side KL, now here's KL right here, it has 1 mark, and side QR, here's QR, it has 1 mark. So yes, they are corresponding sides because those 2 sides are congruent. Number 8, angle K and Q. Well, angle K has 1 slash mark, angle Q has 1 slash mark, so those 2 angles are congruent. right here with 3 slashes. No, they are not congruent, so thus they are not corresponding parts. Okay? Number 10. JK is this side right here with 2 slashes. PR is this side right here with 3 slashes. So no, they are not congruent, so no, they are not corresponding parts. And then lastly, number 11, angle R, which has 2 marks, and angle L, which has 2 marks. Both of those angles are congruent, so yes, they are corresponding parts. Okay? That was numbers 6 through 11. Moving on, let's take a look at numbers 12, 13, and 14. Here are the directions. Decide whether enough information is given to show that the triangles are congruent. If you feel like enough information is given, then tell me what postulate or theorem you used. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at number 12. I have a side, then an angle, and then a side, congruent to a side, then an angle, and then a side. So yes, you can definitely state that those two triangles are congruent, and the reason would be side, angle, side. It's that easy, guys. Number 13. Now remember, when two lines intersect, like this line here and this line here, vertical angles are congruent. So I can definitely state that this angle here is congruent to this angle here. So once again, I have side. I'm trying to decide if I should split these triangles up, but I think you guys can see it okay. Here's a side, and then an angle, and then a side, and this triangle right here, congruent to this side, this angle, and this side. So yes, we can definitely state that these two triangles are congruent, yes, and the reason would be side, angle, side. And now let's take a look at number 14. Now, by the way, number 14 is missing a line, and I know that's not really fair, but it's just how it is. I can tell you right now, they forgot to put this line in here. They meant to put a line right here. I can guarantee you it's a typo. So if you want to take your pen and neatly draw that in, I mean a pen, feel free to, because it's supposed to be there, okay? All right, now what I like to do, you guys know me well enough to know, I like to trace the triangles and then split them up. That's just how I like to do it. So there's this one and this one, and then we'll put this one right back up here with this line. Okay, there we go. Now hopefully this will help you. This is, hold on one second please, this is Q, R, P, and this is R, S, P. Notice I have a slash here and a slash here, and 2 here and 2 here. And then notice the two triangles share RP. So I definitely know that this side here is congruent to this side here. Well guys, I have 3 sides, 1, 2, 3, congruent to 3 sides over here, 1, 2, 3. So yes, I can definitely state that these two triangles are congruent by the side, side, side postulate. Most definitely. Okay, let's move on now to number 15. Actually, numbers 15, 16, and 17. The directions say, determine what information is needed. In other words, determine what is missing from this picture to use the given postulate or theorem. Okay, they want us to use angle, angle, side. That means we have to have an angle, then a side, congruent to an angle, and a side. So all that I have is an angle and a side, and an angle and a side. Now look, if I said it was this angle here and this angle here, then you would have angle, side, angle, congruent to angle, side, angle. They don't want angle, side, angle, look. They want angle, angle, side. So that's not it. But if I mark this angle right here, congruent to this angle here, I better put 2 tick marks. There we go. Then look what I have. I have angle, angle, side, congruent to angle, angle, side. So what are we missing? missing this angle here, angle S, being congruent to this angle right here, angle X. That's what you're missing, and that's the answer. Number 16, they want us to use angle, side, angle. Now, I have an angle and an angle. Notice I have to have a side in between the two angles. Well, look, I can't use this side. This side right here is not in between the two angles. And I can't use this side here. That's not in between the two angles. However, if I put a tick mark here between the two congruent angles and a tick mark here, then look what I have. I have angle, side, angle, congruent to angle, side, angle. And that's what I want, angle, side, angle. So what part was I missing? I was missing GF congruent to AB. Now if you put FG, that's fine. If you put BA, that's fine. No problem. Okay, number 17. They want us to use the angle, side, angle postulate. And so I think it'd be a lot easier for us very quickly. Guys, I know that I do this a lot, but I'm a huge fan of doing this, and I think it really helps you see the problem a lot better. At least that's my opinion, okay? Maybe I'm wrong. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to very quickly label the triangle so we know what's going on. This is J, K, M, and this is K, M, L. Now remember, we already had one angle here, so put a congruent, so a slash to this angle here, so put a slash. Now, do not these two triangles share a side already? Do they not share this side here? Sure they do. So go ahead and mark this congruent to this. Now it's just like the last problem. Remember, we wanted angle, side, angle. The side has to be in between the two angles. They want angle, side, angle. So here's an angle, here's the side. We're missing this angle right here. Put two tick marks here and two tick marks here, and look what you have. You have angle, side, angle, congruent to angle, side, angle. And so if you have angle, side, angle, congruent to angle, side, angle, then you definitely have a congruent triangle. So what part were you missing? Well, we were missing angle. Now, be really careful with saying angle K, would you please? Because, listen to me, guys. Please listen. They want you to look at the original drawing. Now, I know we split it up and moved triangles down here, but they want you to look at the original drawing. And we want to state that this angle here is congruent to this angle here. If you say angle K, we don't know which angle you mean. So I would say angle J, K, M. So then you know it's J, K, M, that angle right there. And then this angle right here, I would state that as angle L, M, K. That's an angle symbol right there. And that is too. Angle L, M, K. So L, then M, then K, that angle there. And those were the two angles that you needed to state were congruent in order to use, sorry for yawning, in order to use angle, side, angle. Okay, on to number 19. These are definitely getting more difficult. Sketch the overlapping triangles separately. Use the given information to mark all congruencies. Then tell what theorem or postulate you can use to show that the triangles are congruent. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and separate the triangles like the directions said to do. Alright, so here we go. Alright, now be very careful here. Let's label these very carefully. This is triangle A, C, B, this triangle here, that triangle there, and this is a right angle, okay? This is triangle D, A, B, right angle here, and that's this triangle right here, okay? Alright, now, let's see. They share a couple things, I believe. Let's see. Oh, I know what it is. They share, they give us this. Do you see the given? They tell us that AC is congruent to BD, so mark AC congruent to BD. And then do not both triangles share AB? Sure they do. Here's triangle CAB coming down like this. There's triangle DAB coming down like this. So they share that side. So there we go. Now, you say, oh, we have side angle. Guys, side angle is not one of our theorems or postulates we can use. No, you cannot use that. But what we can do is this. We can use HL, and here's how I know. Are you ready? Do I have two right triangles? Check. Do I have a leg congruent to a leg? Check. Do I have a hypotenuse congruent to a hypotenuse? Check. Yes. So if I have all three of those things, two right triangles, one leg congruent to one leg, one hypotenuse congruent to one hypotenuse, then I can use the HL postulate or theorem, okay? All right, moving on to number 20. Let's go ahead and quickly separate the two triangles here. Let's label these very carefully, okay? This is triangle MJN. It's the one that goes like this. Do you see it? Right there, okay? And this is triangle JLK, and it looks like this. There we go, okay? Now, notice this angle right here is a right angle, and notice this angle right here is a right angle, and then notice they tell us that MN, here's MN, is congruent to KL, here's KL. Now, let's see if they share an angle or a side. Yes, they do. Do not both triangles come down like this? There's one triangle, and here's the other triangle. Do they not share this angle right here? Sure they do. So, I can state that this angle here is congruent to this angle here. So look what you have. You have angle, angle, side, congruent to angle, angle, side. So yes, you can definitely state that these two triangles are congruent, and the reason would be angle, angle, side. Okay? Now let's continue on to number 21. Let's quickly sketch these. This is triangle PQR, triangle RST. This is a right angle, and this is a right angle. We're told that PR, put a slash here, is congruent to TR, put a slash here. Now, notice we have two lines intersecting, and whenever two lines intersect, their vertical angles are congruent. So I can state this angle is congruent to that angle. So I come down here and I mark this angle congruent to this angle. So look what I have. I have angle, angle, side, congruent to angle, angle, side. So there it is. So yes, I can definitely state that these two triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side. Now, I want to warn you, the next two problems are going to be tough. They're two proofs. I've only given you two on your entire review sheet. I feel like this review sheet's gone by pretty quickly, okay? And these next two problems are going to be tough. If you're totally lost, just copy them down and just follow along. I will not give you many of these on the test, if hardly any at all. And I'll also grade them very fairly, and you can do well even if you're not getting the proofs. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at numbers 21 and 22. Here we go. Use the diagram. Use the diagram and the information given in exercise 19 above to prove that this angle here is congruent to this angle here. Now, remember, if we want to prove that this angle here, CBA, is congruent to this angle here, DAB, listen to me, the best way to do that is to first prove that the two triangles are congruent congruent. And then remember, once you state that triangles are congruent, then you can state that their parts are congruent. Remember that? We've talked about that. So our goal here is to first state that the triangles are congruent, and then we'll state that the two angles are congruent. Now, don't forget what your given is. If you'll look up at number 19, please. Do you see your given? I'm going to write it right here for you. Look at number 19, please. Your given is AC is congruent to BD. There you go. That's what you're given, okay? Now let's go back up to number 19. Remember how we split the two triangles like this? Do you see this? Here's number 19. Here's how we split the triangles up. Do you remember how we're going to state that these two triangles are congruent? By HL, okay? Does that make sense? Remember, we said these two triangles are congruent by the HL postulate. So if we're going to claim that these two triangles are congruent by the HL theorem or postulate, whatever you want to call it, if we're going to use this, then we better list out everything we need to do in our proof, because we're going to have to do a lot of stuff here, okay? Now the first thing you're going to have to state in your proof, of course, is that we have what? Two right triangles. Somehow you're going to have to state that. And then somehow you're going to have to state that AC is congruent to BD, and somehow you're going to have to state that AB is congruent to AB. And then once you've stated all that, you can definitely state that triangle ACB is congruent to triangle BDA. Okay? Alright, so here we go. This is what you're going to have to state in your proof. So let's be very careful. Now, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and do my given first, like I've taught you guys to do. So here's my statements, and here's my reasons. Now remember, statement number one is almost always we give our given. So AC is congruent to BD. That's our given, and that was given to us in number 19. Now let's go back to our checklist. Look what we just did. Check it off. We just stated that AC is congruent to BD. We just stated that right here. How could we do that? What's our reason? It was given to us. Okay, what else do we need to state? Well, we got to state that our two triangles are right triangles. Can we state that? Well, let's see if we can. Let's see. I'm going to put down triangles ACB and BDA are right triangles. Now, how can I state that? Well, I can state that because definition of a right triangle. Now remember, you say, well, Mr. Earhart, what's the definition of a right triangle? It's a triangle that has one right angle. Oh, really? Listen to that. A triangle that has one right angle. Well, doesn't this triangle right here have one right angle? Sure it does. Doesn't this triangle right here have one right angle? Yes, it does. So I can definitely state that I have two right triangles based on the definition of right triangles. So let's go back up here. Let's check that off. Now somewhere I've got to state that AB is congruent to AB. Well, guys, we've learned already whenever you're stating the same thing is congruent to the same thing, AB is congruent to AB, then we know by now, we just call that the reflexive property. We know that, the reflexive property. So there we go. Man, we're doing great. Check that off. Now you're ready to state that you have congruent triangles. You're totally ready to state that, okay? So let's go ahead and state that we have congruent triangles. We have triangle ACB, ACB, that triangle there is congruent to triangle BD. I forgot my triangle right there, triangle BDA. And the reason, of course, is, remember, we said it earlier back here in number 19, HL, hypotenuse leg. Okay? So, man, we've really done pretty well. We're almost done here. Now, don't forget what our final goal was. Our final goal was to state that CBA is congruent to angle DAB. And we can do that right now, guys, because we stated that the two triangles were congruent, so we can definitely state that all their parts are congruent. say that angle CBA, and let's go back up here, where's CBA? Right here. This angle right here, CBA, is congruent to angle DAB. And DAB would be this angle here, and those are corresponding angles. So we can definitely state that those two angles are congruent, because remember, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. Not too bad. One more, and then we're done with our proofs, okay? Now they want us to use the diagram and the information in exercise 21 to prove that we have these two segments congruent. Now remember, if I'm going to state that these two segments are congruent, then the first thing I would do is I would state that these two triangles are congruent, and once I state that these two triangles are congruent, then I can state that their parts are congruent. So let's go back up to number 21 right here. Number 21. Now, remember we said we were going to use angle, angle, side? We already decided that, and I showed you that right here with this diagram here. Angle, angle, side. Okay? Now, if we're going to use angle, angle, side, let's make a list of what we have to state. One thing we're going to have to state is angle Q is congruent to angle S. So angle Q is congruent to angle S. We're going to have to state that, okay? All right. We're also going to have to state that PR with one slash right here is congruent to RT. We're going to have to state that. And then somewhere we're going to have to state, now I would not say angle R is congruent to R, because look at your diagram up here. Look, angle R could mean either angle. So I'm going to put a 1 and a 2. I should have done that in the last proof. It would have been easier. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. You're going to have to state all of that. Then after you state all of that, then you can definitely state that triangle PQR is congruent to triangle TSR. Okay? And then we're good from there. So we're going to have to state these things in our proof to finish this proof. So we know by now the first thing we do, I'm going to go ahead and create a little more space by sliding this up. And we know by now to go ahead and get our statement column and our reason column. And we usually state the given first. So my given is QR is congruent to, no, I'm sorry, that's not correct. That's not your given. Your given was not in number 21. If you look at number 21, they told us that PR is congruent to TR. All right? And we can, I'm going to go and put one more thing down. Really, I think we should do this. We can also see that angles, angle Q and angle S are what? Right angles. And that really is given to us. We can call that given because it's given to us in the diagram right here. So there's our given, okay? All right. Well, let's go back and look at our list of things we have to state. One of the things we have to state is PR is congruent to RT. Well, we just did that right here. PR is congruent to RT, TR, same thing, it doesn't matter. So we stated that already, so I'm going to go ahead and check that off. Okay, very good. Now, the next thing we got to state, really in no certain order, is angle Q is congruent to angle S. All right, well, here's Q, and here's S. Notice in our given, we called them what type of angles? Right angles. So if we've already stated they're right angles, then we can definitely state that angle Q is congruent to angle S. And the reason would be is all right, I don't know why I keep putting congruent, all right angles are congruent. Okay, that was an old theorem or postulate we learned way back toward the beginning of the year. All right angles are congruent. So let's go back here, let's check that off. Now we got to state that angles 1 and 2 are congruent. Well, that shouldn't be really hard to do. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. How can I state that? Well, look at your diagram. Here's 1 and here's 2. Aren't they vertical angles? Sure they are. And we've learned that vertical angles are congruent. That's a theorem or postulate that we learned earlier this year. Vertical angles are congruent. So now we can check that off our list. We've stated that. So now we're ready to state that our triangle is congruent, because look, we've stated angle, side, or angle, angle, side right here. Angle, angle, side, congruent to stated all of that. And so now that we've stated that in our proof, we're definitely ready to state that these two triangles are congruent. So we can say that triangle PQR is congruent to triangle TSR, and the reason would be, like we just saw here, angle, angle, side. So that's your reason, angle, angle, side. And now that we've stated that our two triangles are congruent, we can definitely state that QR is congruent to SR. Look right here. Here's QR, last two letters. Here's SR, the last two letters. So we can definitely state that QR is congruent to SR. And that was our goal. Here's what we're trying to prove right here. And we can definitely state that, because once we state that two triangles are congruent, we can then state that all of its parts are congruent. So that would be CP, CTC, congruent parts of congruent, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, those are pretty tough, but we made it. We're fine. And let's go ahead now and finish up the review sheet with numbers 25 and 27, and we're finished, okay? Here's what I taught you yesterday. I taught you that if you have two congruent angles right here, and you do, and if this point is on the bisector, which it is, and if you have a right angle here and a right angle here, which you do, then this segment here is always congruent to this segment here. Okay, that's what I taught you yesterday. Now they're asking us to find the length of JM. Well, JM is the same length as ML, so I can very easily state that JM equals 3. JM equals 3. Now let's take a look at the last problem on the review sheet, number 27. I've taught you that if you have an angle here and an angle here, if they're both congruent, and if this point lies on this line right here, right in the middle, the angle bisector, and if you have a right angle here and a right angle here, if those three things are true, then you can definitely state that this length here is congruent to this length here. So, if they're equal, we can say 3x plus 4 equals 6x plus 1. Now let's go ahead and solve for x. Let's bring the 3x over and make it a negative 3x. So it's totally gone. And we'll put a negative 3x. And let's take this positive 1 and bring it over. And we bring it over, it becomes a negative 1. So this positive 1 is totally gone. We put a negative 1 here. So we're left with 4 minus 1 is 3. 6x minus 3x is 3x. Now divide both sides by 3, and 1 equals x. That's not your final answer. Notice the directions did not say solve for x. The directions said find the length of xy. Well, here's xy, and the length of xy is 3x plus 4. So where the x is, I'm now going to put a 1. Now please don't think that's 31, okay? Look, 3x means 3 times x, okay? So if you put a 1 right here for x, that means 3 times 1 plus 4. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 4 is 7, and so the answer is 7. I hope this review sheet has been a help. I hope you're ready for your test. Please call or email